Oh no. Yeah.
It's live now.
Okay. Welcome everyone to another episode of Conversations with Sam. So today we'll be again continuing with the earlier topic which we had in the last episode, which was about technology missions in India. And today, sir will be engaging with you like how today's the youth face. They don't like to have challenging situations. They want to have instant results, and they are incapable of thinking this out through. They want they know their rights very well. So if you like counter them, they are up with their rights, and they just don't want to work hard. It's all instant, like you have instant noodles. It's like instant success everyone is expecting. So sir will try to speak more about this, how when he was the chief advisor to Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi ji, what challenges he faced during all these missions, and how he set up India's foundation for a brighter future. So I will like to invite sir to speak about this topic more. Thank you.
And maybe if I can add a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
to the
yeah,
context,
go on.
to whether. So I think when I was talking to Sam last, like restarting this overall episodes webcast every week, one of the focus area is like to enable youth, like and to send the message to youth. Like the target audience for this entire webcast is also like the major part of the expectation is the youth to be joining here. Um, Phenomenal energy, like we everyone is really enjoying, like these days. We work with people of all groups basically, right? But it's also kind of like how we can enable them, how we can empower them, like and there's a lot to learn from the legacy, like some of the fundamentals have will always continue to be the same, like but again, things are changing, technology is changing, expectations are changing, as you said, whether but here we are, here we have Samsung, like really diving deep into these areas. Over to you, Samsung.
Thank you, Upendra. Thank you, Premvada. Friends, greetings. My apology for not being able to be with you for last couple of weeks. I had a small procedure to remove gallbladder and I was out of circulation for a few days. I'm well now and I'm delighted that Premvada and Upendra has worked hard to get this thing back on track. We have lots and lots of things to talk about, but I really want to focus on things that interest you. And when I spoke to both of them last, they both thought that we should talk a little bit more about the missions. Missions are important part of everybody's life. There are national missions, there are business missions, there are family missions, there are personal missions. Missions are all about getting things done against all the odds. But missions are also about missionaries. If there is no missionary, there is no mission. So if you don't feel like a missionary to get something done, it won't go too far. So today we are going to talk more about, on one hand, how missions got organized. I'll give you one or two or maybe a few more examples to relate to the kind of probing one needs to go through, kind of support system and organizational architecture one need to build, and then comment on what Premvada and Upendra said about young people. You know more about how young people behave and what their aspirations are than I do. I read, I interact, but I don't really have the pulse that you have. But from listening to both of them, before our call, I feel that their view is that people want instant gratification. And I think social media has really enhanced that. People want to show off. People want to say, I went to vacation. I did this. I did that. Look at this. All the good things and all the difficult things remain inside, because those are the problems that you need to solve yourself, and you don't want to expose your vulnerability. The fact is that we all make mistakes. I have made a lot of mistakes in my life. I've learned from some I didn't learn. But the fact is, I had to be honest to myself. I had to really constantly review, reflect, revise, redesign, repurpose, and change as the situation demand. It's not very easy to do self-evaluation. Invariably, people have very high expectations and very low energy. That gap between expectations and energy is what matters. Your energy must match your expectations. And when that doesn't happen, people go into procrastination. They constantly procrastinate, analyze, reanalyze, look at what everybody else did and this and that, and don't get to launch their own mission. So the idea behind national missions, which we talked about earlier also, but maybe at the cost of repeating some, I would like to first go through these missions again a little bit, and then talk about the importance of purpose in life. Every mission has to have a purpose. Every task has to have a purpose. Why are you trying to do this? What is the purpose in doing it? Why not do something else? So missions were designed in Rajiv Gandhi's time to really address some of the large national social economic challenges where we could bring in technology to bring about generational change. So missions don't have to be technology missions. A family mission is very normal. But here at a national level, we thought if we bring in technology, we will bring in an entry point from which we could begin to restructure things. So when we looked at fundamental challenges, this is in 1980s, we had lots and lots of issues like we have today. And these issues will continue. It may take different form. So we decided to focus on first water, because we felt that our villages especially didn't have proper drinking water, and our women will have to go sometimes a couple of miles to fetch 2 buckets of water. So we thought if you could really improve water situation in 100,000 villages, it would make a difference. So we decided to have a mission on rural drinking water. Now, water is such a large subject. If you get chance, you should look at India's water portal. We launched that during Dr. Manmohan Singh's time. Google it, and it will tell you about the complexity of water challenges in India. Large number of voluntary agencies work on water. Nandan Nilekani, his wife, help fund some of the initial work on the water mission. And today, that water portal, not water mission, sorry, Water portal is a great national asset created by civil society in collaboration with the government and domain experts. But very few people know about that water portal. Second mission was on literacy. Then India's literacy was about 35-40%. And we thought if we don't get to 85-80% literacy, very soon we'll have a challenge. Then the question was, what is so important about technology in literacy mission? And it was a technology of management, organization, redesigning blackboards, and I'll come to that in a minute. Third mission was on immunization. We have 20 million pregnant women. We had then, today is probably 25, 30 maybe, that need to worry about immunization. Now, that's a big number. How do you organize vaccines? 5-6 vaccines for a kid. How do you store that vaccine? How do you manufacture that vaccine? How do you keep cold chain equipment all the way to the delivery and make sure that it is safe, secure? I remember having dozens of meetings with the industry groups on cold chain, that is refrigeration. How do you build it? How do you make sure that it is secured when the power failure happens in India? How do you design a bag which is like a cold chain for health workers to carry with them? How big that bag could be? I mean, these are very complex problems. No one thinks about these things because people take these things for granted. Then in those days, we used to get cooking oil from Malaysia and other places. And we used to spend about $1 billion a year, which was a lot of money then, on cooking oil. So we decided to change the mindset of our farmers to go into different kind of oil beside peanuts, sunflower seeds, rape seeds, soya beans, and all kinds of stuff. That required agriculture ministry. In water, we required water ministry at central level, at state level, all the bureaucracy, administration, domain experts, voluntary agencies. All of these people had to work together to make a difference at a national level. Then we had this dream to make India the largest producer of milk. Dr. Kurian had done a lot of pioneering work. And Rajiv Gandhi was very keen that Dr. Kurian and I work together to increase production, to look at the breeding of our animal, look at new technology in animal breeding, and make India the leading producer of milk. Then finally, Telecom. Telecom was close to me because I knew what I wanted to do. And I had support from Rajiv Gandhi earlier from Indira Gandhi. The conviction that I had that the IT and telecom will change the face of India. This was almost 40 years ago. In fact, 45 years ago, I gave a talk to Indira Gandhi. All of these things are forgotten. History is being rewritten by people with narrow vision, people who unnecessarily want to take credit and blame, saying, how come you didn't publicize? Because we were interested in getting the job done. So let's take first the idea of these 5 missions or 6 missions. And what was the purpose? The purpose was to get things done quickly. And to meet that purpose, we needed to reorganize, restructure, rethink, reevaluate, reassess. It was a big task in the government. And we felt if we leave it to government, it will be bureaucratized. Secretaries are doing their best they can, but they are not trained to innovate. They are trained to maintain status quo. They are trained to follow procedures. They are trained to make sure that everything meets government guidelines. And for them to skip government guidelines and do things out of the box was impossible. So we had to set up a set of missions. And as we got to see some success initially, we felt we need to increase 6 to 10. We were in a hurry. And we also made mistakes. A lot of people used to criticize me then, saying, "Why are you going away from telecom? You're spreading yourself too thin." And my answer to myself was, this historic opportunity will never come. Don't focus on don't focus on doing it right. Focus on doing right things. Huge difference in philosophy. One philosophy says, why don't you do telecom right? Another philosophy said, telecom will get done right, plus or minus 20% because it's on track. But why don't you do other right things? And this is a very important question in your life all the time. Do you do things right or do you do right things? This balance drives your life. Scientists focus on doing things right. Look at the microscopic approach to everything. Look at atom, break it up. Look at genetic makeup, material. And the manager looks at holistic approach. How do I do things so it reaches out to large number of people? How do I improve productivity, efficiency, cost reduction, distribution, delivery? And there is a balance. It is constant trade-off in life, and you don't always do it right. So we wanted to add to this a mission on environment. And we were very keen to really plant more trees, leave things in wild as it is, and improve green cover in India. Because we understood even then, 45 years ago, the issue of sustainability. We didn't call it global warming then the way we call it today, but we understood that green cover has to be increased substantially for India to breathe well. The lungs of India were drying up. Then we said we need a mission on housing because housing creates lots of jobs. It doesn't require foreign capital. It requires local material, local work, local craftsmanship, carpenter, plumber, welder, all that. And there is huge shortage of housing in India. And that has really increased over a period of time. Not only we need new housing, but we also need to upgrade our housing. Look at the condition of our slums, our gutters, garbage collection. So there are a whole lot of challenges related to housing were staring us in the eyes. Then we had this issue of drought one time and next time flood at the same place. So the whole issue of drought management, flood management required more scientific thinking, laying out GIS, laying out the flow of our river, where is water going, how much water can be stored, rainwater harvesting. So these were some of the interesting things that we thought we need to focus on. Finally, we could really do 6 missions before Rajiv Gandhi lost election. We put huge amount of energy for 2-3 years on missions. And we transformed India in many ways. We planted seeds for new ways of doing things. So let's first take water mission. In water mission, the idea was to really provide water to 100,000 villages. So I had a meeting of all the water experts first, secretaries and joint secretaries and this department and PWD and all kinds of people. And to everyone's surprise, first of all, they knew that I didn't know anything about water. I'm a telecom man. So some people were really mad that Prime Minister has put in a telecom man in charge of water. What kind of decision is that? Okay. So you always have critiques when you do something. Okay. There is always a different viewpoint, negative approach, criticism, which is healthy. So in the first meeting, I thought I shook everybody by asking, you're all water experts in the country here. Do you know how much water cat drinks per day? How much water dog drinks? Donkey, camel, cow, water buffalo? And they were shocked. They think, why are you asking this? I said, what is the population of dog in a village? Donkey in a village? Cow in a village? So if you take all the animals, how much water we need for them? Because they will drink water. If they don't survive, you don't survive. And that completely shifted everybody's attention. No one had ever estimated the number of cattle in a village. Goats, in some villages, goat population was the highest, much more than people. So I said, look, until you understand the total ecosystem, you cannot decide. So at the end of the day, we found out that you need 30 liters per day per cattle and 20 liters per day per person. For cooking, then I asked the next question, how much for cooking, bathing, washing, for everything else? So what kind of water we need? The idea was to keep asking questions after questions after questions that nobody had asked before. And that is the purpose of the mission in life. We all need to learn to ask the right questions. And it opens up your horizon. It broadens your thinking. And it allows you to explore frontiers you have never explored before. So as we started asking these questions, we also started asking questions on what kind of water. Some places there is excess iron. Some places there is excess fluoride. Some places is it hard water, soft water. So we need water testing labs. We need desalination plants. We need membrane technology. We need different kind of thinking in the water department. So for that, we had to bring bureaucracy, domain experts, media, because we told media that you got to keep us honest. Help us ask more questions. Probe us, question us. because the system is open, transparent, accountable. And these were new ideas then. Openness, accessibility, connectivity, networking, democratization, decentralization was not on the agenda. We still haven't paid enough attention to all of these things. Each mission was unique. So we had all mission directors also talk to each other. So the organizational architecture was that you had advisor to the Prime Minister with the rank of a minister, reporting to Prime Minister on technology missions. Then you had mission directors in each mission. Then you had secretaries of the department. And you had Minister of Water Resource, Minister of Health, Minister of Education. So we will meet with the minister. I remember meeting with the agriculture minister from Haryana, then I think Bansilal. And he had staff of about 20 people at the meeting. And they were basically threatened that somebody from outside is coming into our department and dictating things. So I had to be very careful. I had to be disciplined. I had to be humble. I had to be non-threatening. I had to be creative. And it challenged in many different ways my own way of doing things. Just to give an idea, I keep these diaries for last 50 years. Let me show as an example. Okay, this would be my diary. Okay, this is 1980 or 81. Okay, and these things I keep for my day-to-day activities, and I have 50 years of these diaries with me today. Then I have workbook. This is 1980 workbook. Okay, in workbook, you just go through. Today there was a discussion on waste paper. Okay, then there is discussion on something else. Let's see. Okay, areas to cover after 1 year. And I have 50 years of these workbooks. Now one could say you're crazy, but that's how the missions work. This is the diary, for example, from 1964 that I got with me when I came to America. I still have that diary. Missions require this kind of discipline. Invariably, people start their diary in January, and after February, there isn't much written in diary. You got to keep the pace, and you constantly have to review yourself. That's the idea of the mission. Missions became so important in India at that point in time because we used to travel like mad. 10, 12 of us will get on a flight, go to various states, meet with chief ministers. We went to every state possible. Okay. Can I call you? I'm on a video. Okay, I'll call you back. I'll call you back. Bye. So we were. Hello, did I get disconnect?
No, sir, you're online.
Okay, sorry.
No.
Let me just get back online. I don't know what happened. Anyway, as long as I'm online and you can hear me, I'm okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, you're good, sir.
Thank you. So the idea of mission was also to document our journey. We would not only go to state, we'll go to district. The whole nation was involved in technology missions. On literacy mission, we had 2 million volunteers who agreed to teach people how to read and write. Nation was galvanized. There is a special issue of a magazine called Seminar, which was devoted to technology missions. I believe in 1987. If you go to my website, www.sampitroda.com, you might find that magazine called Seminar. In Seminar, there were a series of articles on immunization, water, blah, blah, blah. And to my surprise, one article was comparing Amitabh Bachchan and Sam Pitroda. In a sense, film industry and technology missions. I'd read it then. I don't remember anymore after 45 years. But I want to read that article again to see what was the view then. Technology missions changed the face of India. Because of technology mission, we eradicated polio. We are the largest producer of vaccine today because of technology missions. Rajiv Gandhi planted seeds for so many interesting things. And when I see discussion and debate today in India on petty issues, on irrelevant topics, it bothers me. There is very little conversation on the real issues that affect people. There is very little conversation on hunger, violence, poverty, housing, health, education. Today, if I had an option, I would have a national conversation on impact of AI on education. And not only talk to AI expert, but also education policy experts saying, hey, you got to change your education paradigm. You can't have any more 4 years to get a degree because it don't mean anything. You cannot take 2 years to get a master's anymore. This BS and MS that we have had for 400 years needs to be revised. We need to come up with new way to certificate people. We need new methods to test them. We need new ways to learn things. Those are the missions that we need to focus on. People say there is no access to doctor. For poor people, they don't know where to go, what question to ask. Can we use AI for poor people to ask the right questions on health so they know what to do next? Can we educate them to take charge of their own health? These are potential missions for tomorrow. I don't understand why we don't look at these things carefully. But we are caught in the system today that really doesn't have a real purpose. So the purpose should be to transform education. Purpose should be to transform health services and not continue with the same paradigm. And that requires different breed of people. Change agents are very different. And we knew that the technology missions will bring change agents, or they will create change agents. They'll encourage change agents. They will reward change agents. All you need in a country of any size is 50 or 100 change agents. Look at the independence movement. It was all about change agents. Gandhiji was an agent of change. Sardar Patel was an agent of change. Same with Nehru, same with Maulana Azad, same with Subhash Chandra Bose. They all had their own approach, their own way, and they all worked together. They were all team players. They all had a mission. They all had a purpose. And I think unless and until our young realize that the mission in life is to have a purpose. I look at my own life and I find that Rajiv Gandhi gave meaning to my life by defining a purpose for me, saying your purpose is not to run a business and make a lot of money for family and then sit on a beach and have gin and tonic. Your purpose is to really connect India. Your purpose is to serve. Your purpose, whatever. And that purpose keeps me going. I have surgeries after surgeries, the one like I had, which was very small. And I'm back to normal. And I get on to work 14, 15 hours a day or whatever it takes. That has to be the mission in life. So technology mission is an idea. And every young person must focus on defining your mission. Small, medium, large, some missions will fail. And ultimately, maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, you will find a real purpose in life. And purpose keeps changing. I had a purpose to get married. I had a purpose to have family. I had a purpose to have a good job. I had a purpose to have, enough money to live comfortably. But then I didn't get stuck at that purpose. I had to move on. And like I said earlier, I have made my share of mistakes. We all do that. No one will make your life except yourself. Don't expect anything from anybody, because at the end, it is your life. And your journey is very lonely. Even your family, your children, your wife, your parents, they all have their own life. And don't expect anything from anybody, but do everything for everybody. Because that is the purpose in life. If you give, you'll get more. But if you take more, you won't get more. And that's why it is important always to focus on doing the right things as opposed to doing things right. Many times, some members in my own family keep asking me questions. What do you get out of this? Why do you do these things? Aren't you crazy that at this age you are spending or wasting your time on talking to people and giving these interviews and doing this and doing that? Why don't you relax? Why don't you chill? Their idea of relaxing and chilling is not to do much. And I go through this fight inside me all the time, saying, how do I keep my family happy? That I'm okay, I'm relaxed, I'm not overdoing it. Don't panic. And at the same time, keep doing what I want to do. Again, I don't succeed in this all the time. So we all go through this dialogue with ourselves. But that dialogue has to be very honest, very sincere, very effective. And if you don't have honest dialogue with yourself, you cannot remold yourself. So I can go on and on talking about technology missions, but I thought I'd give you a general framework. If and when you have interest, maybe we can take each of these and talk at length. But again, missions are a way of getting things done. After that, India announced all kinds of missions. We must have had probably 100 missions in the country, but there were no missionaries. Missions became a way of life in the government. So secretary was told that this is your mission. And then 6 months, secretary was head of the mission, was transferred to some other assignment. You can do that. If you have a mission, you got to leave people in there to get their job done. That's why missions are special, require special organizational architecture, special treatment, special group of people. They can use the machinery in the system. But if they are not on top of it as change agent, there will not be change. So with this, we can open up for a broader conversation. I wish we had more time for a broader conversation, but unfortunately, I spoke for almost 35, 40 minutes. My apology, but I hope it was useful. I don't know. Okay, sometimes I feel I don't get enough feedback to really correct myself if I'm not doing something right. And I'm open to suggestion. I have no hang-ups. You can tell me, hey, I don't make sense. Let's discuss this and not that. I'm okay. Thank you. Thanks,
Uh,
Upendra. Thanks, Priyamvada. Open up.
uh, yeah, thank you, sir. That was really enlightening, and especially the you said about the diary maintaining. That is a learning thing for all of us, and your point that we should be self disciplined before we do and find a purpose in our life. There's a comment from Mansoor Pallor saying that listening to you for your 50 years of diary reflections and life stories have is truly inspiring, and your unwavering commitment to technology driven progress and national mission continues to be a guiding light for generations. So that's really very helpful, sir. Also,
Mansoor is a very important person. Many of you may not know him. I know him. He's a friend. He lives in Dubai and in India, and he makes movies. Okay, he makes some interesting movies. Look him up on internet. Okay, so we have all kinds of interesting people. How do we connect with Mansoor and enrich our own life, his life, and do something interesting? Okay, so Mansoor is also one of my favorite persons.
absolutely, sir. Sir, there is question from a user. I can't get his name. He's asking how can we tackle AI deepfakes problem. His name is Sonu. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so no, it depends on what problem you are trying to solve. The main issue is people will misuse new tools, new technology. That has happened in the history for hundreds of years, whether it is sword, knife, gunpowder, misinformation. So technology and tools will be misused by some. Of course, we should worry about it. But the question is, unless and until we design some rules and regulations to minimize it, we won't get the best. So we must, on one hand, minimize misuse, but accept that there'll be misuse. So simple answer to that is we got to have a watermark. Anything which is taken in its raw form and processed by AI should have a watermark saying this thing is AI generated. Then you decide how you want to take that information. Okay. So if you don't have regulations on watermark, you know, you can take a picture of mine and picture of somebody else and make anything out of it. Saying, oh, we had a secret meeting and we did this and we did that. You don't know. But if there is a watermark, I know that this is not right. Okay. So A lot of work needs to be done on AI regulations. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So you mentioned about the green belt during your missions, like we had like green revolution. But do you think in today's like world where big corporates they are like, take for example in India we have like one big corporate house doing mining projects, and he's completely destroyed forest in Chhattisgarh. So do you think development is possible with without destroying nature, without destroying the natural resources? Because this is what the argument is of the other side, saying that without destruction of the trees and forest we can't develop. Like this is the argument given by them. So what's your take
Not
on
true.
it?
Not true. Okay. You got to be conscious of your green belt. There are areas you don't touch, and there are areas you touch. But when you touch those areas, you have to first realize who would benefit from it. Will local community benefit, or somebody sitting in London or New York would benefit because they are just putting money? For last few days, I've been watching on PBS News about private equity people in America buying government, I mean, sorry, not government, buying hospitals and closing it. In the process, they make a lot of money. They are considered champions and heroes, and IRR is 30% or whatever. But what is happening to public? Their community hospital is closed. So you have to see what you are trying to optimize. If you're trying to monetize mining only for the benefit of miners or the owner of the mine, it's a problem. I grew up in Orissa and it was all green, lots of jungles. Some jungles got cut because of the population growth and housing and all, but other jungles got cut because of the logging industry. They were supposed to plant. So
Hmm.
in 30 years, jungle will come back. They didn't plant properly. So if you cut something, you also have to realize that you got to plant again. So if we have 30% green, we have to make sure that the 30% green remain 35%. Look at what is going on in Brazil, in Amazon jungles. And I always ask this question, whose jungles are these? These Brazilian jungles? No, they are jungles for the humanity. Okay. That's the lung for the planet, Earth. It is not just Brazilian property that they can cut and monetize. So these are tough questions, you know.
Absolutely, sir. There's a comment by Ritaraj. He's saying, in government, the desire is lacking for implementation, so there is suffering. That's what he's saying.
We all know
And
the problems. We all know the problems. We also know maybe the solutions. Who's going to do it? Okay. Government has a job to maintain their processes and procedures. They don't focus that much on delivering development. I mean, a simple example, and I give this all the time, is in India, we have roughly 50 million court cases pending. 50 million. National Herald court case has been going on for 12 years. Okay. Now one can justify 12 years of discussion, but with all the IT expertise India has, AI, big data, analytics, all kinds of stuff, why can't we have a mission which says no court case will take more than 2 to 3 years? All backlog would be cleaned up in 3 years because a lot of these court cases are similar: property, family fight, land acquisition, enriching, business cheating. So you just take block by block. In the process, maybe you will not do 100% justice, but it will be cleaned up. Okay. But is there a mission? So if you decide that we will have a national mission to clean up 50 million court cases immediately and change judiciary system with these new processes to make sure that most of the court cases are settled in a year or two, you will add, I can tell you, 2% to GDP. We have done some work, 1.5 to 2%. Now, why isn't there a mission on this? Whose responsibility is this? Chief Justice, judiciary, government, people, politicians, Rajya Sabha, president? Okay. I mean, if I was there, I'd take that on as a big mission. Okay. It's not a rocket science. We know the problem. We also know the solution. Who's going to do it? Okay.
So there is somewhere lacking of will by the
Of course,
concerned.
political will is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
In Manmohan Singh's time, we decided to digitize Delhi court. Let me tell you, NIC head Dr. Garola and I worked with Justice Lokur. Justice Lokur was a very senior judge, very interesting and very good man. I went to his house, met with Chief Justice. I met with several Chief Justices on it. And we found out that the amount of paper that needs to be stored in court in Delhi requires huge amount of real estate. Huge. Buildings after buildings, files after files, ladder to go fetch a file. We stored everything and put it in a box that big. Went to the justice and said, look, this box can give you maybe 200,000 square feet expensive space in Delhi free. Yeah. Everybody loved it. We decided to write a mission document and all. We even got money approved by Manmohan Singh government for various states. Not much happened. They bought computers and they still use the same process. Yeah. So.
Thank you, sir. So there is this question about the US tariffs by Sunil Arora. He's asking that how do you see the US imposing tariffs on big and small countries and our disrupting economies globally? So what's your take on it?
Well, US is redefining trade. Like I always say that there is a golden rule. One who has gold makes the rule. US has the gold right now to make the rules on tariff. So all the work world did at WTO for last 60, 70 years in creating global rule-based trade and tariff system is being dismantled so that it will be one-to-one, not only in terms of national borders, but also in terms of sector. What works in chemical doesn't work in textile, doesn't work in auto, doesn't work in high tech, doesn't work in semiconductor, whatever. It's going to be very complex. I hope we get back to rule-based global trade order. But right now, it is in a mess. And you have seen the reaction from the stock market, and it's not over yet. People of the world will have to rise and react. Okay, people of the world will have to say, hey, wait a minute, this kind of disturbance is not in the larger interest of the world. But time will tell. Right now, it is a total confusion. And I'm not an expert. You can see the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, sir. So there's a question from Anurag S. He's asking why in Orissa MP we have huge stocks of minerals, but people are poor there, and whereas in the Middle East it's the opposite. Like they are rich because they have huge oil rigs and oil production. So why is this a contradiction?
Well, I think it's not a fair comparison because in one case, oil-rich countries have a population of 5 million, 10 million. In our population is 50 million. Okay, so that's one issue. If we were to divide the same wealth instead of with 50 million, 5 million, it would be different. So let's accept that. But that's not the only answer. Answer is that when we monetize our mines and minerals, we really don't do justice to the local community. It is not about building homes for them, moving them here and give them some freebie. It is making them partners in the progress. So I can name, and I'm sure you all know, some rich miners who live with their second homes in London, in Europe, US, and exploit Indian mines, but they don't pay their own people enough money. I'll give you a very simple example. Once I was talking to a group of architects in Mexico, and we were doing some work, and I said, do you have some sample of your work? So they showed me some fancy home and all that. It was very impressive. So I said, look, looks very good. They said, by the way, the client is a miner from Goa. I said, oh yeah? The home, then, this was about 20 years ago, 80 million pounds. Pounds. Furnishing was almost 6-7 million pounds. Now, wait a minute. Where is that money coming from? I don't know the miners. Okay. But this is the reality of life. Okay. So it's basically stealing poor people's money. And it has been going on for a long time in many different forms. You know. But if you talk like this, you are against the establishment. You know. So somebody will say, oh, you are anti-business. Okay.
Yeah. So I think greed is the in concept today. So everyone wants everything, but
Now,
does not want to give back. So before we like wrap up, there is a comment from Nagender about your diaries again. He's saying your 50 years of diaries are rich source of valuable experiences and insights in team building, training, and management. They serve as excellent references for administrators and policymakers alike. Truly, they are a national treasure. Have you considered creating a digital archives of these diaries?
no, I have not considered. It's funny that you say that, because when Rahul was here, I showed him this once, and he said, Sam, this should be National Archives. Okay. I said, look, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Why should they care? I just, while you're talking, this is my 1984 objective.
So,
Okay.
can you just read it out for us?
Start C. Dot in India in 1984. And it got started in August. Position ARM product for raising funds, okay, which we did. Organize compute card business. I had invented a deck of cards.
Okay.
Someday I'll talk about it. You see, all the cards we play are decimal. Okay. I'll find it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. King, queen.
Yeah.
4 seasons. So I was playing cards once, and my little son, then 7, 8-year-old, was giving us scotch. You know,
Hmm.
we four friends were saying, Salil, get us a bottle of scotch. And he just pour some and give it to us. So I asked him, I said, how come you don't play cards?
Hmm.
So you know what Salil said then? He said, I don't like cards because they are decimal.
Hmm.
I've never heard of that. I got a shock of my life. So what is this kid saying? So next day, on Monday, we went to library, got books on, and realized that the cards have not changed for 650 years.
Okay.
So I said, let's design binary cards. So we designed card which says 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Same four seasons.
Hmm.
And we have multiplier card and we have a add card. And we played with new deco card, took scissors and cut it and all that. And after about 6 months or a year, I was with my lawyer and I explained to him. He asked, how is Salil? So I told him this story. He said, Sam, you're not leaving my room until we copyright this. So we copyrighted. We built a lot of decks of cards. We sold in America decks of cards. Okay. So this was fun project. It had nothing to do with money. Yeah. So it says launch CompuCard business. Okay. Telco venture. Okay. Then take a family vacation. Spend more time with kids.
Hmm.
Okay. This was the 84 objective. Yeah. And then January. Okay. It just goes on. It's pretty interesting. When I
Yeah.
read it, I say, "Oh, you got to be stupid to do these things. What are you going to
Those.
do in Delhi when you are in Delhi? You know? So, but you got to discipline your life. It's easy said than done. You know, a lot of people talk about it. Very few people get it done. And I learned this from Gandhiji.
Hmm.
Keeping diary lesson came from Gandhiji. Yeah. I just
Absolutely.
stopped it after computers came in. So for last 10 years, I don't write diary by hand. It's on the computer, but it's not the same. I like my
Hmm.
handwritten diary. You know, it just gives you joy. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. And it's really inspiring, like for every one of us. As you rightly said, if we have self discipline and, if we maintain such diaries, I think this is a very interesting concept which I'm taking up with me today from this conversation. And I think you should,
Actually, one interesting part you will enjoy is every once in a while you reflect on it.
yeah,
Okay. And then you'll enjoy reading. Oh my God, 10 years ago I said this. Did I do
exactly.
it?
And
Did it work? Have I learned anything? You know, it's your own journey that you
absolutely.
document.
Absolutely. Sir, on that thought, we will end up today's session. And thank you for this lovely interaction and for your insights on India and the world and everything. Like, it's been truly a pleasure having conversations with you every weekend
Thank
this
you.
time.
Well, you keep me going, and I appreciate energy you and Upendra and others put into this. And it helps me also. It helps me, you know, understand what young people think and want and do. Okay. Upendra, thank you. You have anything else, Upendra?
No, this was great, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. We see you next week then.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank you. Thank
everybody.
you.